Now this is an outstanding fish. Just incredible, the depth on that. And that's some of the fish you can contend with on one of our Hurley's fly fishing adventures. Magnificent, stunning fish. And we'll let him go, he's got plenty to go. Get a good, decent rod, something with a bit of go in it. This is a new Stalker Legend. They're ideal for this sort of setup. Sight casting to really big fish, great fun. So if you want to get to New Zealand, get in touch with us and we'll point you in the right direction. Yep. Whoa! Here he comes. Yeah. Whoa! Isn't it funny how a day pans out? G'day, I'm Gavin from Hurley's Fly Fishing and welcome to another episode of On the Fly. We're again over in Southland in New Zealand, pretty early season, just late in October. The river's up pretty high and there's a little bit of snow melt as well, which gives that river that little bit of a green colour and pushes a fair bit of water through. But the fish here have got nowhere else to go, so as long as we're patient, we'll find them on the edges. We're probably tending to use more nymphs at this time of year as well because there's so much water, but at the same time, once you get a muggy day like this, you can quite often get a good mayfly hatch, and that'll certainly bring the fish up to the top. So we'll trundle up the river today and hopefully be able to spot a few and show you a few up close. Now, New Zealand is renowned for its sight fishing because the water's generally so clear. And at times, if you've got low levels and clear water and a lot of sun, the fish are sometimes very easy to spot. You still need good Polaroids. I wear tonics because I find they're the best in that brown lens. You can also wear like a lighter colour too, which is like in a yellow, and that can enhance the light as well, particularly if it gets really dark or early in the morning, late in the evening. But I think what you need to be wary of is when you're walking up a river, walk at a pace where you've got time to see all the different areas. Constantly, I mean, you're always going to be in a rush because you want to find fish, but if you're walking too fast before your eyes get there, oh, I've just spooked one. Oh, I've just spooked that one. Oh, I've spooked that one. Because you haven't had a chance for your eyes to cover that area. So as you walk up, virtually look in a grid system, look in all the different areas before you continue to move on. And that's going to show you fish because sometimes they will be right at the feet before you've seen them. So take your time and you're going to see a lot more fish. And it does pay, particularly when there is a little bit of flow in the river, that you don't want to be forcing against it. There's too much power in that. So you've really got to let it win a little bit. So I'll aim to cross, I'll pick out a spot where it's not too deep for me to get out and just let the river push you a little bit and go with the flow rather than fight against it. I also find, again, when you're by yourself, is to have like a wading staff. This can make a massive difference when you're crossing a river with a little bit of flow or if the rocks are a bit slippery. So something like that where it is attached and you can also let it go when you're fishing is quite a good system. So put a bit of time and thought into it and it's going to stay a lot drier and a lot safer. Got one just down here on the edge of this main current. If I can just get the fly over near him there. Got a dry little Adam's parachute that I'm hoping he would like. Took it and that will be bad. Pulled it out of his mouth. Oh well. That was what's happened a couple of times before. When the fish are facing you, they'll come up and take it and you've got to wait for them to completely turn down before you strike because they get to about there and you're literally pulling it straight out of their mouths, which is what happens. And I probably should know not to do that, but hey, can't catch them all. Here he comes. Come on, mate. Ready? Oh, no way. Yep, there's a hook on it. Sometimes it does pay, if you miss a couple in a row, to actually check that you do have a bend on your hook. It's always a great trick to play on your mate. You go, I'll tie your fly on, you hook it on and just cut the bend of the hook out. And he misses half a dozen before he checks and realises that he doesn't have a bend in the hook. But that's only if you're betting with your mate on how many fish he catches. Now, we've had a few rejections, and I'm not good with rejections. So it looks like what they're eating is a spent spinner, and that's a mayfly that's perhaps died. You know, it's laid its eggs and died like an hour ago. And that sits on the surface and is a lot smaller with clear wings. So I'm going to put this on, which is what we call a Hubert's Red. It imitates a lovely little Mataura River spent spinner. And fingers crossed, they'll see this and eat it. Here's one here, just on in the middle, should about do it. Chasing it. That's about 4 in a row, I think, that we've got to take the fly and yeah, struck, and they're not sticking, One just on the edge of this current that hopefully if you can see that fish there, just in front of all that debris there, he'll just sit there because it's almost like a suction. As that water comes down, it's displaced by either rocks or, in this case, a little bit of timber, and he'll sit there and it almost just keeps him in place without having to spend too much energy. But that's what we're looking for. As we walk up a river, we're looking for something like that. Sometimes they will be obvious, just like an actual painting. Other times it'll be like a smudge, a slightly different colour. Then you might see a little bit of movement. But just take your time, and the more you fish, the more you're looking for them, the more you're going to see. We've got a couple of fish rising in front and to the side of this structure that you can see in there. And that's a build-up of debris over time. That also makes it easier for the fish to hold station, so to stay there, use less energy because the water almost pushes them forward. And it also deflects. There's another fish on the side of that as well. Deflects food to them. So I've got it dry because they're starting to rise now. I've got a little Adam's parachute at 16. We'll throw that up there in front of him and hopefully he's going to grab it. Oh, it's nice. And he knew as soon as he took that, oh, as he's coming, rushing towards me, and we're still attached, which is good. As soon as he took that, I reckon he knew that dun had a hook in it, and there was a bit of fly line attached. I can see the fright in his eyes there. But that's good. Sometimes you're just walking up the stream and you've just got to take your time. You might notice things a bit more, and in this case there was just a little bit of movement, and we sort of slowed up a bit and watched, and then there was a fish rising, which is great. So sometimes it just pays to go a little bit slower, and you never know what you can come up with. And we'll just try and use the rod. I don't want him to go out into that current too much, so if I hold him that way, and it gets a little, it's only a little fish, but they all count, they all count. If I can sort of hold him in there a little. And a shorter line can certainly steer them a lot easier. I might even be able to lead him up here because I've got to get down to be able to net him. And if I can subdue him a bit, that'd be good. It's a nice little fish, a couple of pound. You should also give him a little bit of respect as well, even though he's not the monster we've been hoping for. Come on, no, he's not gonna. And that's the problem with current, even though he's not a big fish, and it just pulled out, but that's okay as well. Not a big fish, once they get into the current, that sort of almost doubles or trebles their weight. And he's just pulling in there. And if you were fair dinkum, I suppose, you'd run downstream, let him go and net him, 50 metres downstream. You get a bit blasé once you've caught a couple, and there's a few more rising up here. So, yeah, we frightened him anyway. So that's almost caught, almost. Got another one rising there on the left, pretty constantly. Let's just see if we can put this in front of him. There, and that worked okay. And that's half the thing. Again, like we talk about the visual aspect, seeing him rise, I mean, that's great, but a good pair of glasses, you can see under the surface, watch him. And if you can get that fly where it needs to be in the first or second cast, it really pays dividends, like is what's happening here. And he's a little bit bigger, this one, so we, after that other one getting away, might be a little bit more gun shy, so I might pay attention a bit more. So we just got him here, and again there's a couple more rising up there as well. So again, they're just beautiful, strong fish. They're not monsters by any means at the moment, but they're just good, powerful fish. I mean, that's a 6 weight with a good bit of stick on it in the Stalker Glide, and I find that much better for steering these fish around. Then when you do get the better ones, it's a lot easier as well, but I'll try and get him in. Ideally we want to, oh no, come on mate. Just pressure on. You want him fighting against the current. Come on mate, come back here. No, he doesn't want to. We're nearly though, nearly. You can see him sort of tiring. That's me, not the fish, but he's not coming back in front of me. Like that, and we can get him in. So that's a lot better. If you can get the fish in the net, it makes you feel a bit better as well. And it makes it a much better fishing show if we actually do land them. But I'll get him out and give you a closer look at him. We'll get him out, and this is just a solid fish of just under 4 pounds of lovely Mataura brown, and that's just in great nick. I mean, oh yeah, he's still ready to go too. Just a great specimen there, really thick across the body there. That's plenty of power. That's just a good fit fish after the spawn run, early in the season now. So he's in pretty good nick. So that's something that is just great fish to target early in the season over here in Southland. I mean, that's why you do it, to walk up a river, beautiful surroundings. We've got snow up the top up there. You've got lovely, clean, clear, fresh water here. And you've got just under 4 pounds, this one anyway. I'm sure he's got a bigger mate up there, taking a dry fly that you can sight fish to. That's why you've done all that practice at home. Learn how to cast around corners, learn what fly to choose, and it makes it all worthwhile, just as we hold him up into the current. And we want him to get caught over and over. So you want to spend a bit of time and just hold him in there. I mean, he's in pretty good nick now, but we want him to swim away upstream, so that you know that he's going to be in pretty good nick to get back doing what he's doing and eating more and making a fly fisherman pretty happy. Magnificent fish to target, and he's good. There you go, beautiful. And that makes it all worthwhile, Trout like that, beautiful. And to watch it swim away, and I think, we can all go and buy fish from somewhere if we really needed to eat them. I don't think we fly fish to do that. We fly fish for a number of other reasons. One of them is to get out of home and spend time in some of the most wonderful places around the world. But to see a fish, regardless whether it's a trout, could be a snapper, you know, a bonefish, could be anything, but to see it swim off and you've still had your enjoyment, but he's still got his life to lead as well. I think it's something really good as a fly fisherman that you can do. Now let's find another one. Now we've got one just there. Probably hard to see because a little bit of water there, a bit discoloured, but a very dark shape, just where it drops off. So we'll throw this nymph under a dry, and with a bit of luck, he'll like it. And he did, so that was good. And it's been hard going with, oh, only a little one, with a little bit of this snow melt has sort of really chilled up the water, and I think that definitely has an effect on the fish. The metabolism changes a little bit with this cold snap of water, but it's good to get one who wants to eat something. Makes it just makes you realise what you're doing is actually working. What I do, if we can, is get that line on that reel, and then there's nothing going to get caught around your feet or on sticks, particularly if he wants to make a run for it. And if you've got a decent reel, we use a Gavin, good drag systems, and you get that set that you know you're going to protect your tippets, and you can just let it do its job, and that fish will take line if he needs it. But we just want to wear him out. I mean, he's not a massive fish, but he'll be, you know, 2.5, 3 pound, which is still pretty good fun. Come on, mate, be over soon. Good. And then one into the net. So that's, as I said, it's not life-threatening whether you catch fish or not, but certainly makes it a lot more fun when you do. So that's actually, yeah, lovely fish, lovely fish. I mean, complain to everybody in Australia that it's only a 2 3/4 pounder and you don't get much sympathy. We'll get that hook out and send him on his way. There we go, lovely fish from the Tower River, lovely brown, nice and silver, and a good powerful fish. They're just solid through the all the back there, and just plenty of go. Just a real thoroughbred, and sent him back there for somebody else to come over and catch as well. So that's good. Hopefully there's a few more up here that are a little bit more eager to take the fly. Makes it a lot more fun and makes a much better TV show if we actually catch some fish. So there we go. There. You just spot him there in that little ripple. Oh, nice fish. And the Matara, you're going to get fish, I guess, from 2.5. 5 would see out normally most of the biggest ones, particularly up high. Most are going to be around about your 3.5 pounders. This one will be, you know, 2.5 or 3, you know, so great fun to target in a place like this. Lovely green grass. You've got sheep that are white and not grey like some of our poor Aussie ones in the dust. So it's a pretty amazing place to spend a bit of time. They're still fit little fish. They're very strong and powerful little fish. So even these small ones, once you get them in close, don't take it for granted. Definitely don't lock up on them, because they will bust off, you know, 6 and 7 pound tippet pretty easily. So you just got to be prepared to let them go if they have to. But if his head's up, and we can get him in the net, and a lovely little fish. So that's just great fun, particularly when it's sight cast. And that's what, you know, why I come to New Zealand. I think as a fly fisherman, that's something that you really love doing, is spotting a fish, walking up a river, spotting it, and then putting all the skills that you've practiced, be it casting or mending your line, everything that you've learnt, to make it work out. But it all starts with a good pair of polarized glasses that you can see the fish, and then implementing the skills that you've been practicing for a long time, and it makes it really enjoyable. But a beautiful, strong, fit fish, plenty of power, and just great fun to be catching these on a lovely little nymph sighted. They're perfect. You just hold him and he's good straight off. You want him to swim away like that and know that he's going to be right for when you come back, or one of your mates come back, or even your kids come back, that you leave a lot of these fish in their environment, so they're going to be ready for somebody else to catch as well. Got one just in the middle of the river there. We'll see if he likes this nymph. And I cast it properly. Yep. Nice. We just needed that one in the right slot where he gets to see that nymph. And I think what happens a lot of the time when we're casting, we see that dry fly go right over the top of it and you go, oh, why isn't he eating it? But that nymph, that could be sideways, could be anywhere, could be, you know, not in front of the fish. So we've just got to be mindful of that as he has a bit of a jump, that it's not always going to be in front of their nose. So persist with those casts and get it one to go right down the right slot into his mouth. A good solid fish. And they're quite powerful, fit fish after their winter. They've obviously had a bit of tucker after their spawn. Just try and get below him a little bit and get him fighting again into the current instead of us pulling directly against him and pulling that fly out of his mouth. So we'll let him fight against us and the current at the same time. Getting a little bit tired. It's hard work fighting that fish when they are in the current, because they can use that to their advantage. They just turn down like he's doing there, and you've got to let him go. You try and hold on there and all it's going to do is break you. So again, that's when a good reel pays for itself. And we'll work him back up now. There's a tree down there that I really didn't want him to get in amongst there, so we'll just try that shorter line. You can tend to steer them around a lot better on a shorter line. You have a lot more control, and use the rod for what it was intended to do, as a shock absorber, but also to steer these fish around as well. Now when he's up in the surface like that, it's the ideal time. If I can get in there without falling in, it'd be good. And get him in the net, it's perfect. So that's good when a plan comes together. Sometimes it is hard to see when we don't have a lot of sun, so it's tough going. You'll need to use things like the other bank with its trees. It cuts a lot of that glare and reflection and allows you to see in a lot better. Because here, I mean, there's a lot of fish, but you couldn't just blind fish it. You'd fish about 100 metres of good water in about 3 weeks. So you still want to rely on sight. So you walk up a river and use whatever you can for your advantage. And in this case, it was the tree line on the other bank to see this darker shaped trout in the water. Put that fly in front of it and he liked it. Beautiful fish, just stunning colours. They're just incredible fish. Just the spots, crosses on that, and a great big strong tail, fit as anything, and just a beautiful specimen of Mataura brown as he wants to get going. So we should let him go there as well. So you want to try and keep their gills in the water for as long as you can. You get a quick shot and then send him back home for somebody else to catch. Beautiful, great fish, great fish. And the beauty is there's plenty more of those throughout the whole Southland region. So it's just a great place to spend a bit of time. Loads of options, great places to stay, pretty good scenery too. So if you get the chance, get across New Zealand, you're absolutely going to love it.